So this is Nisha. She is one of our future customers. She's graduating this year from Taylor University, and she is one of 650 possible donors that could be a part of our funding program for our revenue model. Computer science students, the average salary for a computer science person out there in the world, or in the United States anyway, is about $110,000. And so if we were to calculate and say, okay, how much could a computer science student actually, or former student, alumni, donate to this particular project, if it was in the mix of things that they donate to, let's say $100 a year. It's not very much for that $110,000 of salary. Over a 30-year period would yield about $3,000 in revenue. Each practicum costs the $5,000 of the income or hourly wage, plus some additional things that need to be taken care of. We would need to double that in order to provide two practicums. But just for one practicum, being $5,500, we hope to launch the Power of Two program that will target donors to give amounts that are the power of two, which is a very kind of computer sciencey thing to do. We're looking at, 2 to the second, 2 to the fourth, 2 to the eighth. All of these amounts will make sense to computer science students. 5 donations for each of these amounts that I've listed would actually pay for one practicum. So we just need to get 10 for each of these amounts. And we would be all set for 2 practicums, fully funded by our alumni. Given a 16% conversion rate of the 650 former students, that yields about 104 donors, giving an average of about $100 each annually. And if that were the case, we would be able to fund 2 missions computing practicums each year. 16% is pretty high, but we do have some data going back to a previous program that we tried to run that said that we have a really high click-through rate because we're targeting people that we know personally, really, and who have been a part of a small group of people as they've gone through the computer science program here at Taylor University. So we have high hopes that this is going to be a valid way to do things, but the question is, is it really sustainable over the long run? So let's look at the next thing. Again, in order to get these students interested in missions computing, they say the best way to reach them is a personal endorsement from a professor. And we would love to be able to grow this program, but it is limited by the amount of funds that we can raise. And so we have many students that would like to pursue this, but we can't fund them all. We can only fund the amount of money with the amount of money that we've raised. So who is a part of the Missions Computing Center for Missions Computing? The team really is Dr. Tom Nurkala, and who is my husband, and myself. There probably could be questions about nepotism here if you want to talk about that, but we are overseen by a board of directors who are also very highly involved with computer science, the computer science department, as well as other people on campus that can speak into this, like our chief information officer and the dean of the school in which the computer science department resides. But together we have 45 years of industry experience in computer science. We maintain relationships with many organizations, go to conferences, have speaking engagements, speak in classes, all those kinds of things. Have been a part of our team process. In addition, we really nurture relationship with students and donors through email, social media, and personal visits. We travel quite a bit, and when we are traveling, we stop and meet and have lunch, breakfast, something with people that have been a part of either our missions computing projects or trips or our computer science department. For example, just last summer we ended up spending some time in Scotland, and we had a chance to get together with a former computer science student who is now running his own business over there. And we took the time to have breakfast with him, and now we have even a stronger connection than we did before. And those are the kinds of things that we pursue. And not just because we want them to be funders, but because they're really interesting people, and we value their friendship. We value the ways that they can speak into our lives, as well as how we can share with them. So these are mutual relationships, not just a one-way seeking funders kind of relationship. What are our financials? Well, looking at 650 potential donors in year one, that amount would grow by about 40 each year, which is how many students were graduating from the computer science department. And this doesn't even include students that are in the systems department, which is kind of an add-on where they take some computer science classes and they mix it in with their major, which would be a whole nother group of students that we could maybe ask for funding, because many of them also end up working on these missions projects. So given the 16% conversion, assuming the average of $100 per student, gives us the amounts that we show here, where even by year 5, we still haven't, we've just finally hit the point where we could make 2 missions computing practicums possible. And it doesn't grow very fast, and so we hope that we can actually do something to resolve this issue. And I think because the scalability is weak at this level in terms of just relying on our alumni for donations, we really do have to seek out some grants and look at that endowment very seriously if we really want to scale this up at all. So those are some things that we're looking for your input on, and other ideas for how to also generate more funds. I think we can easily do 2 over time, but to grow it beyond 2 I think is going to be a bit tricky, and that's where we really need to focus. But our minimum viable product I think is possible by next summer, and ongoing, but if we want to grow that product at all, we're going to need to seek some outside sources of funding. Who's our competition? Well, our competition is really, in terms of paid missions computing, they're really not a competition because there are so few out there. There's just a lot of room in that particular market space. But our real biggest competition is businesses that offer paid practicums, like Honeywell here. This is a student who did a practicum at at Honeywell, got paid very well to do it, and he was even able to earn more because he lived at home. So we really feel like that is our true competitor, the people that can actually pay for practicums, especially in businesses. We do have relationships with many uniquely skilled students and with many organizations. So in terms of being able to bring these 2 parties together, we feel like we're in a unique position in order to do that. We have a means of raising funds, we have a means of connecting students with organizations and fund them. So that's our differentiator, that's our unique perspective, and I feel like we're in a good place for that. So what kind of investments have we had to do? Well, really, I think looking forward, we need to go after an endowment and make that part of our investment possibility. $500,000, with the way the market rates are, that's not great, but at least we could get one practicum funded and maybe raise enough for another, at least initially, and hopefully we can build that endowment over time. We can also look and try to seek out grants that support STEM-related service-oriented practicums. There's not a lot of people in this space. I've done some research on this in the past, and really even in the secular world, I was only able to find 2 other organizations, one at the University of Washington and the other at Carnegie Mellon, where they were focused on providing service kinds of technology for people around the world. And so this is an area that STEM and grant writing might be really beneficial, because they would love to get some of these people that are at the high levels of technology working in ways that are serving the world and meeting those needs. Our notable investors would be our Taylor University Advancement Department. They already have a list of donors that they would like us to meet with and talk to. These would be larger donors. And then we also have our list of alumni. And we really don't have a lot of costs. Our space, our administrative support, and all of those things are provided to us through Taylor University, because we work under the umbrella of Taylor University. There's no charge to the Center for Missions Computing for using those facilities. So this is something that is well supported by Taylor University. So our costs are very low when it comes to these things. Finally, our status and milestones are we really do have $5,000 set aside already for a missions computing practicum. We need to raise about $6,000 more in order to fund 2 missions computing practicums. We plan to do this for the summer of 2019 because we feel like we can get started, and we want to kick off the Power of 2 fundraising program in the fall in order to raise another $6,000 to fully fund the 2 missions computing practicums. I think what is exciting here is that we can get started with our minimum viable product with just a fairly small fundraising effort. The question becomes in year 2 and year 3, how do we kind of keep that momentum going? We do need to work with University Advancement about when we can do our fundraising so we aren't interfering with any of their programs that they've got going. And so we'll be working closely with the advancement people in order to make this happen. But we would love any advice, any investments that you might be willing to make, or funding that you might be able to provide to us as part of this program, this initiative. We feel like it's going to have a huge social impact, maybe not something that we're going to see directly, but the kinds of technology that supports these efforts in order to have positive social impact are foundational to having a large social impact. Because of technology being at the basis of it, it really just provides that foundation for reaching a whole bunch more people and providing a better solution for people who have needs around the world. I appreciate your taking time to listen to this presentation, and I want to thank you for investing this time, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you. Thank you again so much.